So the movie marathon, Max's audio fucked up again.
How shall I do it? Oh, I know. I'll turn him into a flea, a harmless little flea, and then I'll put that flea in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and then I'll mail that box to myself, and when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer! It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant! Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. It's episode 35, I think. Yeah. And we're here today, drinking some nice honey and lemon tea, because my throat is sore. I don't know why I put myself through that.
Sounds like you've got the COVID.
Nope, I have not. Take lateral flow tests for work, so I definitely know I have got it. But who knows, maybe just early stages. But I hope not. How are we all doing?
Yeah, not bad. Darcy had her microchip implanted into her today.
I did.
Yeah, you got the chip?
Yes, the government is now watching this podcast.
Well, hey, Boris. we knew he'd love it. We know that Boris is an avid subscriber of the Sunday Movie Marathon.
His favourite film is The Invisible Kid.
Yeah. Oh, man. I want to know what Boris's favourite movie is. Maybe something like really weird, like Tom Cruise's The Mummy or something.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. I forgot to talk about this last week, but I did go to the cinema, and there was a baby coughing behind me the entire time. I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't have come here, because I did like a double bill. Did Wolfwalkers, which was amazing, and then afterwards I was like, I don't really want to go home, so I decided to go again to see the new Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. I was like, why not? And this baby was just coughing behind me the whole entire time. I was like, I wish I hadn't have done this. And on top of that, the movie wasn't the best. I was like, just double torture. Well, not torture. I didn't hate the movie. But you guys saw it as it just dropped on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, so obviously it's been on Disney Plus like for months under that Premier Access thing. But I think on Friday maybe it was like put on just for free if you got a subscription. So we've finally watched it, and by that I mean we watched like the first hour and 10 minutes and turned it off. It wasn't a bad movie, it's just about as mediocre and bland as a film can possibly get.
I don't even remember any of it now that I'm thinking about it now, but
No.
It's a real, I don't know, it's a real shame because I actually quite liked the look of it. Everything was nice about it, but it was just, I didn't feel like the story was just a bit too like, it's been done by Disney, I think. It's been done to death.
Yeah, I love Disney stuff, and like, I like the idea of them doing like a fantasy sort of thing like this. I just wish they did something a little bit better. Like, obviously you watched Wolfwalkers the same day, which is kind of similar in presentation in some ways, but that's so much better. And I was constantly reminded of How to Train Your Dragon, obviously by DreamWorks, one of their big competitors, and that film's so much better than this, and it does like a lot of the same fantasy sort of stuff.
Although I'd argue the animation is better in this film.
Yeah, of course, the animation looks incredible.
It's literally the best thing I've ever seen.
That being said, though, have you seen like the third How to Train Your Dragon movie? Because I would argue that looks better than this.
Yeah, to be fair, How to Train Your Dragon 3 looks incredible.
Because, like, I mean, that was
giving
like
me a face of disgust.
Is that out, or is that a thing that?
Yeah, it's out.
No,
Yeah,
I don't really like DreamWorks animation. It looks weird to me.
I would agree, but I do think the second and third How to Train Your Dragon films do look a lot better than what you expect from DreamWorks.
What's his name? No Teeth, or what's his name?
Toothless.
He's cute though. No teeth.
Yeah. Old Mr. No Teeth. That's what we call him.
This is almost as bad as when Connor used to do this podcast and used to get the names wrong, and Max would be like, his name was Jim or something every like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
My favourite one he ever did was when he brought up funny games like a couple weeks later and he called it Good Laughs.
Yeah, Good Laughs. Yeah, classic. Classic meme. But yeah, sorry, Darcy, I'm going to have to disagree with you completely, and I can't believe you just said this. Like, what do you mean DreamWorks isn't like good animation or like that?
Do you know what? I feel like me and Max are going to end up arguing by the end of this episode, to be fair.
Look, you say this as someone, you clearly haven't watched like the Kung Fu Panda movies. You clearly haven't seen Kung Fu Panda 2, which is like top tier DreamWorks movies. That looks amazing.
Right. Okay, so I'm not saying the animation is like bad, like it's good, but I mean,
is it more like the designs and stuff?
Do you know what? I think it is the style of animation. It's not how it's like done or anything, because it's like smooth and it's like it's well done. I just don't like how it looks. Oh,
okay. So it's more like a subjective thing. Like
yeah. It's just about preference. Yeah, I don't think it's dog shite. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean you're wrong, but yeah. But yeah, anyway, we were talking about Raya and the Last Dragon. Just took us away completely because that movie is so memorable.
Yes, I've actually forgotten that we were talking about this movie.
I honestly don't remember anything about the film.
No.
It like exited my mind as soon as it finished. Like, I keep forgetting we watched it and we only watched it like 2 days ago.
The only thing that because it's obviously apart from the animation, the parts I remember, but I just want to understand, did they ever explain why the dragon was like fairy? Like why was the dragon fairy?
It's a Disney movie.
Oh, they couldn't make it scaly because that's too creepy.
Didn't breathe fire either.
It makes no sense for it to be furry because it's like a water dragon.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I'm just glad that someone else noticed that just doesn't make sense to me.
As soon as I saw the design of this dragon, I thought, I know exactly what this movie is, or like, I know exactly what this dragon's about. It's going to have some sort of Melissa McCarthy type voice, and it's going to make crazy, funny, fun jokes all the time. And guess what? It does. But the jokes aren't good. The writing is so bad in this movie.
Yeah, what did you think about that? What's that little kid? The one who's like, "Hi, I'm the guy who makes the sushi on the boat," and then was like doing like all these finger gun things, and Chris was just dying inside. I could just see it.
It reminded me of Short Round from Indiana Jones, and like the cringiest character in any film. And that kid in this was better than Short Round, but still I didn't like him.
It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's sort of like, I'm watching a Disney movie. This is the kind of Disney stuff that Disney does. So I didn't care too much for him. But he didn't like piss me off at all. I think mostly what pissed me off was like the voice acting for the dragon, who sucked so much. I don't know who voiced her at all. Like, first of all, why did it have a voice in the first place? I didn't want it to have a voice, really. I just wanted it to be like an animal.
Yeah. It actually, most of the film, this dragon is a human, because they can like shapeshift into a human or some shit. Which is basically just exactly what happens in Wolfwalkers. They can turn into people.
Wait, and I think Chris has failed to mention the fact that this is all happening because of these gems. And then Chris turns to me and goes, "This is basically the Avengers."
Yeah, I was like, this is the plot of Infinity War and Endgame. They have to get all these... No, it's especially the plot of like Endgame, where they have to travel around, get all these gems... Because if they collect all the gems, they've got unlimited power and they can stop the bad guy or some shit.
Yeah, they can stop the purple villain.
Yeah. The most forgettable villain.
And they go around, like, the world, and they get, like, they recruit the Avengers.
Yeah.
So, like, they've got some, like, baby they encounter with a few monkeys. And, like, she's, like, the baby's there and she's, like, really smart. Jumping around because she's like a really cute baby, but it's not cute. And she's also got cute monkeys. They steal stuff, I guess. It sucks. And then they go to like this snow village type place, and then there's this guy who's just alone because everyone's been turned to stone and he's alone. I don't know. They pick him up and he sucks. It sucks. It all sucks. Honestly. No, I won't say it all sucks, but like the writing is really boring and bland. I really didn't connect with it at all.
It's a bit flat, isn't it?
Yeah. None of the characters are interesting. I don't even remember the villain in the slightest.
No, I was just about to ask you guys who was the villain of that film.
I don't remember.
Was it that girl with the short hair? The one who owns the cats, because she goes, "You end up like a crazy cat lady, like me."
That was so bad.
She's like, or is it Raya's like, I know there's good in her because one time we met for 5 minutes and then she betrayed me. And then, like, she has to go, like, the villain has to go through a redemption arc because she loves the dragon so much. She's like, oh my god, the dragon is amazing. I have to save it. And then she just goes through, like, this... Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, sorry. But she goes through this, like redemption arc that she absolutely has to go through. Oh, I could see this coming from a mile off because it needs to happen because it's that kind of a story. That's just, like, my problem with the movie overall. It's very uncreative, very... bland storytelling, bland writing, and I kind of wanted, like, when I was going into this, I was like, maybe it will be different, maybe it will be like a more epic fantasy tale, and just like in a way that Disney kind of hasn't done before, but it's just the same shit that we've seen over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of potential with this movie, but it just kind of felt like every other, like, animated fantasy movie that I've seen, and I can think of so many that I'd rather watch over this, like the How to Train Your Dragon films. Like, all three of those are great. Wolfwalkers is also really great. I'm not a fan of Pixar's Brave, but I'd rather watch that over this. That's like a little bit more interesting, at least. The characters are actually characters and somewhat likable, whereas this is just kind of, it just feels so manufactured and by the numbers.
Yeah, and in Brave, they have, like, Scottish accents because it's set in Scotland, but here it's, like, with Raya and the Last Dragon, it's set in, like, the East, but, like, they all have American accents for some reason.
Yeah.
That pissed me off so much.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
In this film?
Yeah. Everyone's got American accents.
Do you know what? I hadn't even... I should have picked up on that, but I didn't pick up on that because every actor in this is like of Asian descent, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's all like a American Asian cast, but they all speak English.
You wouldn't be able to tell because it's animated and you can't see their faces. But it's like, that's probably my biggest problem overall, aside from like the boring structure and just bland writing, is that the entire time it's set in like this Eastern culture, and it wants to depict this Eastern culture both in like terms of like the language and in terms of like the time that it's set in, because it's not set in modern day, it's set in like the before times or like the Middle Ages or something, and they're going around the East, around these deserts with all these different characters, and it's like like Disney wants to have like both pieces of the pie. Is like he wants to set the film in a more Eastern land, but they still want to have their characters retain American accents, even though it makes no sense. Or like Western ways of communication is probably my biggest problem, because they're telling like all these modern meme jokes or stuff, and something like, oh, like people can't relate to jokes if they're not from like meme culture, or they're not from just like the kind of shit we see on the internet every day. That hurts the film so much, because they don't want to. They want the scenery and they want the aesthetic of the Eastern world, but they don't want to go further than that, and they don't want to depict the actual culture.
Yeah, I was saying to Darcy when we were watching it that I would like to see that sort of film, like from a big studio like this, like an animated film set in like a culture like that, and have like
their native
film
language
in their native language with like native actors and actresses. But that isn't what they did at all. It's just people speaking in English with American accents, and it's like really badly recorded as well. Like all the voice acting I think is really bad, and so much of it literally sounds like very reverb heavy, like they recorded it in an empty stairwell for some reason, and I found that really distracting. That any time they said anything, it sounded awful.
I guess the problem with because I think the idea in practice is really nice, like getting your native actors and getting them to speak their native language and things. But we're talking about films for kids here, which is the only issue.
I mean, honestly, like, fine, set it in like like do an English language movie. You always do. It's not like I'm not looking for that much from Disney, but like even Black Panther, they had like accents that were like native to that type of area in which like Wakanda was set, because like people actually pushed for that. But I don't think anybody pushed for that with Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah, but is that because they're using dual heritage actors, or is this just like they just don't want to go there?
I don't think they want to go all the way. This doesn't feel like a film that they really care deeply about.
No. I don't find it like cynical, but I find it lazy.
It is basically a product of, oh, we haven't done a film in a little while, let's push a film out.
Yeah. They kind of have to do a film every like 3 or 4 years at this point, just because
they can. Yeah,
they can. Sometimes they'll do a film every year, and I feel like when they do that, the film quality really suffers.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's kind of what happened here, because like the last film was Frozen 2 in 2019.
Yeah, and who saw that? Who knew about that? Because I didn't even know there was a second one until
it's one of the
highest
grossing films of all time.
Exactly. Wow. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah,
but
I always forget it existed. But this was supposed to come out last year, but obviously because of COVID.
Film? Yeah.
But obviously because of COVID, it didn't. So
that's just unfortunate. That's not really a product of their failings, is it? To be fair.
No, I do wish Disney wouldn't make a film every year. Like maybe step away and make one every few years. Like spend a lot of time working on it. Because I think of like some of their best movies, like the Renaissance movies from the late 80s and 90s, and all of them took about 3 or 4 years of development. Like Lion King took forever, Beauty and the Beast took forever, and those films really are of high quality, and that's kind of what you'd expect from Disney, because they're like the kings of animation. You go to watch a Disney movie, you expect some sort of quality, and I don't think that's what is presented here. The animation looks great, but that's about it. There's nothing else really to the film at all.
They know that, though. They know they're the giants in the industry, so they can just be lazy, and it doesn't really matter. They can make these really shitty, boring remakes of their classic animated movies. Everyone will go see it, and it'll make $1 billion, so they don't really have to try.
Yeah, it's a shame to see Disney are just so soulless now.
Right,
I mean, obviously they've kind of always been it, but
yeah.
The quality of films is definitely not there anymore. I honestly, I was looking up their filmography, and the last film I liked from them was Big Hero 6 in 2014, and I'm pretty sure they've done a film every single year since then, and I haven't really enjoyed anything.
I don't know. I liked a couple of them. Like wasn't like Brave and Tangled, but they were quite a while ago now as well.
They're ages ago.
Didn't you say you liked Moana? Didn't you?
I did like Moana. I can't lie. I did forget. But this is the thing. I feel like the longer, I don't know whether it's because I'm older or whether like the longer this has gone on, like obviously the quality's dropping a little bit. But I just I haven't really had much interest in like the modern Disney movies, like whatsoever, pretty much.
I don't think the quality's quite there anymore. I don't think any of the films they've done over the last decade has had the imagination and like creativeness of like Beauty and the Beast and Mulan or Tarzan or any of those films, or even like earlier back like Alice in Wonderland or Pinocchio or any of those classic movies. It's just kind of, I feel like the magic is kind of gone. They go through like periods where they'll make great movies and then just make shit again, and they kind of went back into making somewhat decent movies in the early 2010s, and now they're just back to making mediocrity at best, and it's a shame to see.
Yeah, animation's really good, honestly, but just overall it lacked passion, like creativity, like you said, and that's the big draw. I don't really care if like a movie's not like the best of the best in the world, but if you can tell that like the people who made it actually cared about it, that shows, you know. And this didn't. Raya and the Last Dragon, they didn't. And I have lowered my rating since seeing it because I literally forgot all about it.
Yeah. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, probably give it like a 5.
I don't think well...
You gave it like a 2 out of 5, didn't you? So like a 4 out of 10.
Did I rate it? Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be. I did give it a 4, but I don't think it's really fair considering the fact that I didn't actually finish the film. So I don't really want to rate it. But what I saw was a straight 4.
I don't know. I don't feel like it's this kind of movie where if you finish the movie, your opinion's really gonna like improve.
No.
Unless the ending is like incredible and changes like the entire movie. It's very rare when you get that far into a movie that something's going to happen that will make you like love the film suddenly.
No, but I mean, I feel like it should be judged as a whole thing rather than me just going, oh, I turned it off, give it, I don't know, 1 star when I could have just finished it and then gone, okay, that was still shit, 1 star. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah, but at the same time, you ain't missing much. That last half hour, I told Chris what happened at the end. He was like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And it does. Because it's really predictable.
Well, it is what it is. You tried to watch it, and you couldn't succeed. Which I feel like is kind of something in its own, right?
Well, I feel like that was on you, because Chris was the one who turned to me and said, you don't mind if I turn this off, do you? And of course I said no, because I didn't give a shit about it. But the point still stands that he turned off the film, not me.
Okay.
Just want the world to know that.
Sure.
If it ever comes up.
So that's that. Raya and the Last Dragon. Nah.
Mm-hmm.
Do better next time. Or don't, like, whatever, who cares? See it, don't see it, whatever. It's such a middling movie.
Mm.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus now. I'm pretty sure it's out on Blu-ray as well now, so... And it's still showing in the cinema for some reason, so you got plenty of ways to watch it.
Literally everywhere. Just don't sit in front of a child. It's not a good experience. I was just like alone in the theatre, and like a few families were dotted around because it was like the middle of the day.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I wanted to talk about the new Conjuring movie. So I saw that. Me and Connor went to see it the other day. I think must have been the other day. Yeah. Theatre was packed. Of course, everyone loves these Conjuring movies. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Directed by I don't know, some guy. It's not James Wan anymore.
Can we just point out that it has literally like the worst title? It's such an awful title.
I don't get it. I mean, Max might be able to explain it. Does someone say it in the movie?
I don't know. I fucking know. Don't remember this movie at all. Sat through it all. Everyone was spooked because it's really scary. I went home and I was like, I gotta watch the first Conjuring again because I don't really remember what I thought about that movie. And compared to this new one, it was amazing. I don't love it. Like, it's not like the best thing in the world. I was kind of bored, but like the first Conjuring, it's got style to it. James Wan injects his style into that movie, and it makes it all the better. But this has no style. It's really, really boring, and it felt like it was about 2.5 hours long. I was so bored. I almost fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I don't know what like the general consensus was. I couldn't really make out what people were saying about it. Or maybe they just didn't care. But I just think that like my main issue was that sure, I've seen like the first 2 movies. I was like, okay, I'll see the third one. I'm like halfway through, I'm like, what's happening? Oh, I don't care. But like, I want like characters that I care about in movies like this, and I just don't care about these people. There's like who is it? Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. No, yeah, like they're in the movie because they're in like all these movies because it's about their cases. They are not like bad actors, but the characters suck. Man. They're so boring. I don't know if you guys like remember like their characters in the first 2 movies at all. But I just don't think they're very well written. And I really wanted some characters to latch onto and to understand their struggles and what they were going through, but it just didn't. Like, none of that was communicated well, because it just shoves that all aside in favour of like just a bunch of jump scares. It was really bad. It was honestly abysmal.
Yeah. We were actually gonna watch it like before the episode, and we just didn't get around to it. But I kind of knew what it was gonna be, because you don't have James Wan attached anymore, and he's someone who he has a definite drive, and you can tell that he's very passionate about the movies he makes. And all the Conjuring movies are like, they're filled with jump scares, just like the film critic Mark Commody like calls them cattle prod cinema, where it's just like nothing but silence, and then every once in a while there'll just be something to prod you and make you jump. And that's kind of what the first two are like, but I do think he injects a lot more into it. So there's like actual atmosphere, there's like genuinely disturbing, creepy imagery. And I don't think any of like the spin-off movies have done that. I don't think any of the films that have kind of come out in the wake of the first Conjuring have done that. And I kind of knew this new one wouldn't do that, where it's just literally the only thing that's somewhat scary about the film is every once in a while someone yells at the screen after loads of silence. And it just doesn't sound enjoyable to me.
When James Wan makes a movie, he injects like his own style into it. Like, you can tell you're watching a James Wan movie. Like, he'll use like the camera to like produce like a really creepy atmosphere, or like he'll use the music or editing to evoke some kind of interesting feeling in you. That's why Aquaman's so good. But this has none of that. There's like one scene where there's like a one-shot take, and that was all right. It was pretty interesting how they did that. It kind of like the camera moves through the house, and it's really smooth and quick, the way it makes its turns. So like, if I had to praise the movie, like, I guess that some of the lighting choices were all right, but for the most part, it like the lighting was really awful, and it looked like dishwater like the entire time. It looks so bad. Like, who the hell lit this movie? Who was the DP? I don't know, but it looked awful. Yeah. I don't have like too much to say on it, honestly, because it's like leaving my mind. It left my mind as I left the theatre. I just thought it was really boring. It relied way too much on jump scares that weren't scary. It's just like, you weren't expecting this loud noise. It's like, okay, that's not fear. That's not visceral tension, and it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't grab you. It's just like, aha! Okay, you got that scare. Okay, we're going on to the next thing. It's so boring. It sort of sucks.
Yeah, I jump at things really easily, and everyone always makes fun of it, like me for it. And it's almost like they think that I like genuinely am scared of what I'm watching, but I'm not. It's just a loud noise startled me. That's literally it.
Yeah, like you weren't even paying attention, and it's really boring, and then suddenly like something awakens you.
Yeah, that is generally what happens when we see films they make me jump. Like when we saw the 2016 Ghostbusters, I was really bored and wasn't paying attention. And there was like suddenly a loud noise and it made me jump.
Yep, we did see that movie in the cinema.
Indeed we did. Maybe that will come up on the marathons one day.
Please no. Please God no.
I don't want to watch that movie again.
We can just watch the first two Ghostbusters movie and the new one with Paul Rudd in it. I'm sure that'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be great. Anyway, The Conjuring, the Devil Movie, 3 out of 10. Sucked.
Nice.
So we come to the show that we watched, season 1 of Westworld, started in 2016. I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of like rushed to finish this because I didn't plan it well. Didn't plan out my watching the episodes well enough.
No, so we I knew we'd wanted to record early in the week, so it's 10 episodes. So I was like, okay, we'll start it last weekend. I think it was we started it, and I was like, we'll watch one episode a day. Like, we'll watch it a little bit early to account for when like Darcy's working late shifts and doesn't want to watch it after work. And it got to the point where we watched 2 episodes and we went multiple days without watching it. We had to literally binge about 7 episodes over like 3 days because we were so far behind.
It was literally, I think it was 6 episodes. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I watched the last episode in 2 chunks because it's like an hour and a half long. So I only finished that this morning as I'm speaking.
Yeah, we literally watched it this afternoon, so it's quite fresh.
I think both of us kind of forgot about it. No, we were planning our day, and I was like, wait a second, we got to go back at some point to finish this show.
Yeah.
Heartbroken, Max. I really was.
But, should we explain what the show is about? We haven't done that. So, yeah. Westworld, adapted from Westworld, it says. Okay. It's like, there's a park, and it's like a futuristic Western-themed park called Westworld, and people go there and spend a ton of money to go there and interact with the replicants. I mean, the robots who are they look like people. You wouldn't think that they weren't people, but they're robots. And then some of the robots start malfunctioning, and all these people who have gone there for a good time start to see the cracks, and some of the robots start to experience that maybe they think this world isn't what all it's cracked up to be. Maybe they're living in a fantasy world that's controlled by the higher ups, people who made this world, this West world. And yeah, there's lots of killing, sex, and violence, and it's kind of like Blade Runner in a way. I think it took a lot from Blade Runner. But yeah, I like this show this season. I don't think it was perfect. But yeah, what did you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was alright. Go ahead, Darcy. I know you have the strongest opinion out of everyone.
Of course. No, it not for me. There's a lot to unpack here, really, because there are parts of it that I genuinely thought were really good. Parts of it that I thought had really good potential. Some of it did interest me, and then just like that, in a second, I was just bored again. Didn't want to watch it, and I just don't think it's for me. I think it's one of those shows where you have to have at least some sort of interest in the topic or the theme of the show, and I just didn't care about any of it.
There are multiple storylines throughout, and I found half of them really, really fascinating, and that was what was keeping me going, and that was what I was like, this is genuinely really great, and I understand the hype for this show. And the rest of it, I was like, this is so dull and boring. And there was multiple episodes where it was mostly dedicated to the storylines I didn't like, and those points where I was like, you easily could have taken this episode out or reduced it in half, because there was so much that I felt was very, very repetitive. So many character interactions and scenes that just felt copy and paste, they were just going in a loop.
Sort of the point, though, right?
I guess. Just because it was the point of the show doesn't mean it was entertaining.
No, I guess not. I kind of agree. Yeah, you got all these you got a handful of characters that you've got to follow. Some of them are more interesting than others. Some of them are doing the narratives and the stories that are set out in Westworld. So you get to see Western shoot 'em ups and all these quests that they go on, and then some of the characters are based in this facility that makes the robots and makes the stories, and there's more a seedy element to it that's going on. Maybe they shouldn't be doing this, because when you create life in a way and you just imprison it, is that right, or is it not? And you kind of left to decide. Well, who knows? Is it right or is it not? I mean, honestly, that's something I got more from Blade Runner, and I like that more. But this kind of does basically the same thing. I'm not gonna lie.
I loved basic idea of the show, like having this park where you can just basically do what you want. I thought it was like a very interesting idea. It's the film is based on, or the show is based on a film from the 70s that was written and directed by, I think it was Michael Crichton, who wrote the original Jurassic Park novels. And I would be interested to watch the movie. I wanted to watch it before doing the episode, but I didn't have time, because I'd be interested to see how they tackled this story like earlier on, because it feels like very, very modern. And I don't know how they would have tackled it back in the 70s.
Yeah, be interesting to watch that. I do like some of the storylines. They're like characters. Like Chris said, that there are a couple of storylines that you like, but mostly not the best in most of them. I kind of feel like as it went on, I kind of started feeling the same way. But I was mostly attached to Thandie Newton's character, Maeve. I thought she was really good. And for some of it, I was attached to Ed Harris's character, because he was kind of like this mysterious guy, but then like, as it went on, it was kind of like, we haven't really learned anything about this guy. And then the reveal that he was some guy that we'd already been seeing, but like a younger version of him. And then all of a sudden, like, this reveal is that it was told in a non-linear storyline, and he's old now, and he's lived here for 30 years or something. That was like, okay. Like, a lot of these reveals could have been really good, but like, a lot of them just like weren't very interesting, or they didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you when with the storyline with Maeve, Thandie Newton's character. That was probably possibly my favourite bit of the show. Like, I really found her story like interesting. Her like slowly becoming sentient, and eventually like she starts waking up when she's being like operated on and fixed, and she starts like having like recollections of her dying. She's kept like all her memories, and like there's like a guy who's like starts helping her break out and shows her how everything works. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the whole show is where this guy is like showing her all the technology of the robots and how they're like built and how they work, and there's like a really beautiful string version of Motion Picture Soundtrack by Radiohead playing. And that sequence was very eerie and atmospheric, and I thought that was great. And there's so many great moments like that during her storyline, and there's great reveals in the last episode when it comes to her stuff as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of the hook of the show. I'm like looking through like the cast here, and I'm trying to think of the stories that were attached to these people kind of coming up empty, because I don't really. I'm like, oh yeah, was that really all that fun? Not really. There's like, we're following like Jimmy Simpson's character a lot. William plays like one of the McPoyles. I was like, one of the McPoyles is in this. It's Always Sunny. So I was always like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia the whole time.
Yeah. And he showed up in Zodiac as well. He's just everywhere.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I would agree with you. That was my least favourite story in the entire show.
Oh, the one
I didn't
with
give
Dolores?
a shit. Yeah, the entire
Jesus.
Dolores
He's
thing.
like
I
falling
didn't
in
care.
love with the robot.
Okay. Brilliant! Of course.
They're gonna get
Wants to break her out.
Yeah, that was
never went anywhere.
poo.
Yeah, it was so boring. Like you said, it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, what happened to
it was just so abruptly.
Nothing.
It was like they got distracted and they were like, "Oh yeah, let's focus on this instead."
The part that pissed me off was like, why'd you show us them so much just for that storyline to go literally nowhere? Because you'd also been showing us William's character as an old man without us knowing. So we all, like, suddenly all that was erased, and all the intrigue that went with like the man in black played by Ed Harris, who was like a genuinely great actor, and he plays the part so well. But then it's like, this reveal happens, and we find out that he was actually William the entire time, and I'm like, so why does any of that matter?
Yeah. At that point, I just didn't really care anymore. I wasn't paying attention to that storyline at all. I was just kind of like, when that was happening, I was like, okay, this is like the fat and the meat being like the Maeve storyline and like Anthony Hopkins' character and
I like the story
all the
with
other people.
What was his name? Arnold.
Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard, aka Arnold.
Yeah.
That stuff was really great.
That was
I
the
loved
only
that.
thing
was
that I was
weird.
interested in. Everything else was boring to me, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
the plot twist where you find out he's actually
Like a robot.
a robot was great. That reveal was so good.
That got me. I turned around and I went, bloody hell, something's happening now.
When he like murders one of the women that works there as
Yeah.
well. That bit was great as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that beat is like a reveal, but at the same time, I was thinking there was no like lead up to it. Why was there like any kind of like hinting at it beforehand? But it was just like all of a sudden, oh yeah, and you're a replicant.
Yeah, there wasn't really any build up to it at all.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it kind of came out of nowhere. As much as I do like, do I like the actor? I thought he was all right. Like some of his stuff was like genuinely some of the most emotional stuff in the season. Like there's a point where he's like having a flashback where his like son is dying, and he's like trying to get to his son. He's like shouting out his name and he's crying, but like the doctors are like pushing him away. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. I liked in the last episode where you find out how Arnold dies, where he like gets Dolores to shoot him. That was great.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
Honestly,
like a fantastic scene.
Even though like the last episode 10, is like an hour and a half, that was like probably one of the best episodes. I thought it was just like it all ratcheted up, and I was like, "This is insane stuff that's happening."
I would probably say, as a whole, that would probably be my favourite episode, the last one. That was the one where there was the most stuff going on that I was actually interested in. And I feel like that was like the one where even the storylines I weren't that interested in, like, had some sort of closure and were wrapped up fairly well, I think.
Yeah. And there's stuff that just doesn't really work, or like Anthony Hopkins is in this show. And, okay, he's like a villain character. I like Anthony Hopkins. He's a good actor. Really fantastic actor. I didn't get, like, loads from him in this show. It's like he was kind of a villain, and he's doing, like, these evil plans. He's hired out this, like, big digger that's, like, kind of like this mysterious element throughout a lot of the season. And I didn't feel like that really went anywhere. He's like, I'm planning this new narrative. I'm planning this new story for the Westworld park. And I'm like, okay. And he does reveal that at the end. He's like, here's my new narrative. But then I'm just like sat there like, what was with the big digger then?
Yeah. They kind of hint at him being so much worse than he actually is. And then it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, I guess apart from him getting Dolores to like murder everyone, but still, that's about it.
Yeah. He's supposed to be kind of evil, but I don't really get that from him.
I think there were some bits where I found him very creepy, but he's played a better villain in The Silence of the Lambs. It's like one of the best villains in any film. That's definitely a better performance.
Just do the same thing, but Westworld. Make it Westworld.
Probably would have fit for his character, to be fair.
Yeah, he was just a bit more sinister. Some of the time he was just like, I'm an old man, I know what I'm doing, don't question me. And it's like, okay, he's a little grey, but maybe he's not like so evil. And then kind of you get like, oh yeah, actually he's stone cold killer. He's a stone cold killer. And then like he dies. I was like, I wasn't even shocked when he died. I was like, I kind of felt like maybe he probably would die. From like the middle section of this season, I was like, he's probably going to die.
Yeah. I did like the scene where he dies a lot, where like Dolores comes up behind him, shoots him, and then starts opening fire on the entire crowd. I thought that scene was really great.
That was bonkers. I was staring open mouthed. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? And then it ends.
Yeah.
Straight after he gets shot.
You didn't expect the robot uprising?
Maybe not this soon.
I don't know how the second and third season are, but I think they're meant to be fairly different to the first one.
Yeah. You guys like how like Ed Harris is searching for this maze the entire time, and then like right at the end, he's told the maze isn't for you, and it's just like, okay, that's that then.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get any. It's like it's not for you; it's for the hosts. You go like deeper into themselves, and like they solve the maze, and once they get to the center, they've essentially attained true consciousness, and they're free. That's a nice concept, but why do you just go all that way to come up with nothing?
Yeah, I feel like that's that, and obviously the bit with Dolores and the McPoyle guy. I can't remember his name. Can't remember his name in the show at all. They I feel like with those storylines, there's just so much wasted time. I feel like so much of it is like very repetitive, the same thing going on, and none of it adds up to anything. It just kind of goes nowhere, and that was what made the show such a slog. I think if all of that stuff was taken out, I would have enjoyed the show so much more. But that was what really brought it down and made it so boring at points.
Yeah. Like a lot of just like the concepts that it explores or that it presents. And maybe I would want it to delve a bit deeper into the concept that it's presenting, or like just do something a bit different that I haven't already seen in Blade Runner. You know, like literally there was a moment. What is it? It's like in episode 7. And then one of the guys is like, he's talking to Maeve about like her friend in the whorehouse, and he literally says, "I didn't want to retire your friend." I'm like, that's out of Blade Runner. Retiring, that's out of Blade Runner. So I couldn't help but just like link it to that movie the entire time.
Moving away from like the characters and story and stuff, because I don't know if there's much else we can talk about and that sort of thing. I think visually, there are some really great visual ideas, like the designs of the technology. I think super inventive and great. I loved the creation of these androids, like the way they put like a real skeleton down and like mold around it and that sort of stuff. I think that looks fantastic. All the like effect work I think is really great. Like it's ridiculous how I think this is like some of the best like CGI I've seen in a TV show. So much of it is like really great, I think.
Yeah. It's all really good. You get like the mannequins of the people that they're making in like this big ring, and that's kind of the logo for Westworld in a way. Or like the show as a whole, you think of this show, and it's like it's the man strapped to a big circle, and then they've got like this huge vat of like milk or whatever, like human milk or something, and they're just like splashing him all in the milk, and he's making him into a human. I'm like, that's awesome. So cool. A lot of really great effects when they get stabbed, or like a lot of the sometimes the blood didn't look real, but then like when you cut the robots open, you could see inside of them, and like it would show the process of them being made and unmade. You see like the insides where it's like machinery. That'll look really great.
I really love the Western setting in the show. I think a lot of like the set design and everything looks really great. It reminds me a lot of the classic like spaghetti westerns and stuff, and I think they do a really great job of capturing that sort of vibe with all of that.
Yeah, paid attention to like the costumes and the sets. They all looked really good. Especially like, I'm sure there's a lot of CG in the movie in terms of like how they shot different areas or like different like landscapes, but it all looks very authentic. I guess that's the kind of thing they're basically going for with the show as a whole. It's like they want it to be this authentic experience for the guests who come here.
I love the music to the show as well. That's like one of my favourite things about it. Like the score is just generally, I think, really great. But there's like every episode has like Western versions of like rock songs. Like multiple episodes have like Radiohead songs in them, like adapted into like Western versions and or like string or piano versions. And I think all of that is really great, and they use it incredibly effectively. Like I said earlier, with the scene with motion picture soundtrack and
the exit music,
exit music
really
for a film
good.
in the last episode, because that's like a song that is very tense, because they wrote it for the ending of Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version in the 90s. So they wrote it for the end of a film, and it's like something about it is very anxious and slow building, and they use it very effectively here. They use it really well in Black Mirror as well.
Oh, don't talk about that episode. It
They
gets me
use it
going every
far
time.
better in that, where it's like
it's incredibly horrible
generally
watching it.
really disturbing in that. But as soon as it started playing and like slowly building up, you knew shit was going to go down in this.
It's true. It is the shit's going down song.
Which episode was that for Black Mirror?
So near
the one with the guy from It's the End of the Fucking World.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh, they talk about which Black Mirror episode? It's called Shut Up and Dance.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I also like the music a lot. Raman Djawadi, he did the score for Game of Thrones. That was a fantastic score. He's just a very talented guy. I feel even got like the theme song for the movie that plays the show that plays at the beginning titles credits. It's all really good. So it's very memorable. I do want to talk about like the acting in terms of like the robots. Obviously they're portrayed by actual people because it's like they're not going to make actual robots. But yeah, I thought all that was like sometimes you would get like just these weird tics that they would have, or they feel like humans, but it's kind of the aura is a bit off, or the vibe is a bit crooked. Like they had like slightly robotic body language and physical acting, but all that was really well done.
Yeah, definitely. It was all really good. I don't think there was like a single actor in the show who I thought did a bad job. I think everyone was really good. I think Fanny Newton probably delivered the best performance I've ever seen from her. She was so good in this show.
Actually insane. Yeah, fantastic acting. Definitely my favorite of the show was just any time that we got to see her. It was like a breath of fresh air whenever she was on the screen again, because her narrative is just so interesting. The way she's like kind of figuring things out, or like she's telling this guy to like stab her just so like she can see like, oh, there was a bullet in me, but now the wound's gone, so you got to stab me here so I can get the bullet out again. Like, things aren't really adding up for her, so she goes down this really interesting path where like she kind of becomes like the puppeteer in a way, where she like manipulates these the surgeon guys who are working on the repairs for the robots to like give her access to like more intelligence and like different ways of processing and different emotions that she couldn't feel before. She was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved the twist with her in like the last episode where you find out that like everything she's doing has been like pre-planned. Like she's not in control of anything. Everything she's saying, all of her plans, everything has already been written out for her. I thought that was like a really like kind of upsetting like end for that storyline, but I thought it was very fitting for the sort of show, and I feel like if they made it so she was breaking free and she was like completely in control, it would have probably felt a bit out of place.
Yeah, it was a real big oof. I was like, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
No autonomy.
Yeah, I do have some problem, like a big problem with some of the writing. I feel like a lot of the dialogue I found very, very like cliched stuff that you hear in like loads of stuff. Like I kind of get it if it's like between the androids in the park, because obviously it's like meant to be like almost like a trope of like westerns and stuff like that, so you kind of get it when it comes from there. But there's also a lot of very cheesy cliche dialogue from the human characters as well, and some of the other interactions outside of the park. I think there's also a lot of I found there was a lot of like action or horror movie tropes throughout, especially like in the last episode I noticed quite a few, like how you got there's a bit where these guys are like cleaning up these two robots, and one of them pulls like the mouth guard out of one of them, and you instantly knew that that robot was going to come alive and bite his finger off. I felt like that was like a super predictable thing. I've seen so many things. And there's also like a scene where those same two robots are standing in a room with loads of other robots who are all standing very still, and these guys are like trying to find them and going through, and obviously everyone's stood still so he doesn't know which one's which. And that's something I've seen done so many times. I feel like so much of the show is like really original and unlike anything I've ever seen, and seeing things like that are just so cliched and like tropey just kind of ruins that in a bit.
That scene kind of took me aback a little bit, because I thought like the entire time we were showing this room of like the robots that were like decommissioned, that they were like all naked and they weren't wearing clothes, because like why would they need clothes? Because they're not active. But then like the robots who are like trying to hide from the guards, they have clothes on. But then like they go into the room, and then some of the other robots also had clothes on, but like they're not active. So when was this set up? Like but what?
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense.
It made no sense whatsoever, because there was like a cube in which they like hosed down all the robots before they put them in this room, and they took all their clothes off and they just washed the blood off of them, and then they just put them in this room. Now all of a sudden, like some of them had clothes on. I didn't understand what that was. It felt like a really weird oversight.
Yeah, there was also there's like multiple scenes where you got people explaining like bits of exposition, like important information about the past that they slowly reveal all throughout, like the backstory of the company in the park and that sort of stuff. And they like explain it to the robots, and all of that stuff seemed very pointless, because like, especially when like is it Ford played by what's his name? I've forgotten it now.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he it's been a long day, I'm tired. Yeah, his character, he like explains to Dolores the entire history of Arnold and all that stuff. And it was just like, I kind of get why he's doing it, because obviously he wants her on his side. He wants her to eventually shoot up all these people, but like she's at his will, like she's a robot and he controls her, so it seemed very pointless that he had to explain that sort of stuff to her.
Yeah. Or like, just the guests would go into the Westworld and they'd explain to the hosts that they weren't real, or like that there was another world outside of this one and they lived in the real world, and the hosts lived in the fake world that they paid money to see. And it's like, if you already know that they can't comprehend when you say those kinds of things about the outside world, or about this world not being real, what's the point in saying it at all?
Yeah, none of that really made any sense.
No sense whatsoever. So stupid.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I know some people probably will look at that like we're like nitpicking on the show, but I feel like it's like important flaws with it.
Yeah. Some of like the physics was just like weird. Like how they'd be on like a moving train, but like it would come out of like what, the facility? Like how do they take the hosts out of the game and back in the facility and then replace them without anyone realizing if all these narratives are going on? Like they need to have conversations or fix the hosts in some ways. Like how do you take them out of the narrative that they're in without distracting the people who are actually real?
Yeah.
I was like, well, what's that for? Like, I didn't really understand. Like, maybe they tried to explain it a bit, but like I think Darcy touched on this, or like we talked about it a bit, where just like the conversations they were having, sometimes it just wasn't particularly interesting, or like you lost like your train of thought while you were watching them have this conversation that wasn't filmed very interestingly, or like it didn't engage me at all. Sometimes when they were talking, it didn't like demand my attention, so these things just kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of big oversights in the show.
Yeah. I watched this on like Now TV as well, and sometimes it had subtitles, but sometimes it didn't, and that came to be a problem. Like, I don't know if you guys had this, but like sometimes they would just mumble lines, and I didn't understand what they were saying.
We also watched it on Now TV, and the subtitles were always there, but sometimes they would like flash off the screen for a second and come back.
Or words would be joined together. So,
words,
yeah.
pretty much every single time the subtitles were on the screen, words would be joined together.
That's so weird. Sometimes like a subtitle option wouldn't even come up for me.
Yeah. Now TV's subtitles are awful. Like when we watched Prince of Egypt, we had to turn the subtitles off because they were like constantly out of time, and like subtitles be wrong or they would spell things wrong. It's just something they really need to fix, and I don't know why they haven't. And there's so much on the platform as well that doesn't have subtitles, and it's so annoying.
It is really annoying. Leave my subtitles, man.
Yeah.
I need it. I'm dyspraxic. Can't take it. What else? Like, I didn't get like they kind of lament this a bit in the show, where it's like, well, what's the point if like the guests can't lose? But it's like, yeah, if the hosts literally cannot kill the guests, like they can hurt them a bit, I guess, but they can't like deal any like lasting damage to them. Then what's even the point? And why should how? I guess like makes the park completely redundant if like there's no real kind of threat, and they're saying like the deeper into the park you go, or like the further outside of like this town you go, the darker it gets. But it's like, but does it? Because they still can't really be hurt.
Yeah, maybe that's something that they delve into a little bit more in the second season. I don't know.
They kind of delved into it like right at the end.
Yeah, kind
season.
of.
When like people were legitimately getting shot by Dolores. Yeah. She was killing people.
Yeah. So I imagine that would be probably something they expand upon a little bit more as the show goes on.
Yeah. I hope so. Did you like when Bernard gets like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Minded? He's like, take me into my memories, Ford. And like Anthony Hopkins is like, you might not like what you find in there. I'm just like, what? This is like the plot of Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, I thought the same, to be fair.
That was annoying. He's like, oh, he's like crying on the floor. He's like, put me back in. Dude, please.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're probably short on time. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. There's a character called Elsie, who I quite liked, who's like one of the higher ups, and she's working with Bernard. But then, like, she just disappears for some reason, and the implication is that she's died. And then there's like a flashback, and it's revealed that Bernard just killed her. He like crept up behind her as she like made a big discovery and like snapped her neck or something, and that was that. That sucked. It sucked. I was so annoyed. I really liked that character, and now she's just gone forever. It
was like a very throwaway death as well. Like it was like focused on so little.
Like it made it kind of ambiguous. Like, is she dead? Is she not? And then we never heard from her at all for like 3 episodes, and then like next thing you know, it's just like, oh yeah, she's dead. Oh, okay, fuck's sake. Oh dear. Oh, and also I kept thinking about like when Bernard was like making Ford take him back into his own memory. It was like, this is like Eternal Sunshine, but it's also like that scene in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince where Snape's going into Harry's mind. It takes from all these different things that I'm just comparing it to that I like more, I guess. And that's like the big problem that I have with the show overall, is that I could just watch what it's emulating, or like it just kind of felt emotionless to me, and it felt a bit too clinical.
Yeah, definitely. Are we ready to wrap it up then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so before we get into the ratings, when we do any of these like series reviews, when we're like doing the first season, we have to like ask the big important question, which is, would we carry on the show? I know Darcy definitely wouldn't.
No, not for me.
I'm kind of in two minds, because on the one hand, I did actually enjoy a fair amount of the season, and I've heard the second season is better. Although I've heard the third season's not good, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that didn't stop me from watching Game of Thrones, I guess. I guess I would carry it on, to be honest. I might not watch it in as quick succession as I have been doing because we needed to watch it for the podcast, so maybe I'll just kind of stagger out and see where it took me. Just if I've got like a free hour, maybe pop it on. Who knows? But yeah, I would not be averse to carrying on, for sure. I liked it.
No, I'm not completely against it. I'm just... Maybe I'll watch it in the future. It's not something I'm going to rush and finish straight away, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. So, should we get into rating it?
Yeah.
Are we going to rate it out of anything or just out of 10?
2 replicants.
Replicants, okay. Yeah, it's a good show. I enjoyed it. I feel like a lot of it is very boring. There's like a lot of storylines I didn't really connect with at all, and that was kind of what brought the show down a lot. A lot of very all over the place writing that sometimes is great, sometimes is quite shit. I think I give it maybe 7 replicants out of 10. It's like a low 7, high 6 maybe.
Yeah. As I went on, kind of just fell off for me a bit, or just I found more things that didn't really agree with me. As much as I do like it, I was just going along. I was like, I'm losing enthusiasm, and that upset me a bit. But overall, it's still a good show. Maybe watch it if you like these kind of sci-fi stuff. I'm kind of a sucker for like good sci-fi and interesting concepts and robots and all that. So I did enjoy it for that. Yeah, rating, probably give it like a 6 out of 10. 6 replicants out of 10. It was good.
Nice.
This has kind of thrown me at a curveball here a little bit.
Did you not think we were going to
No,
rate it?
I didn't actually. And I'm not I wouldn't even know what to rate it even if I had one in mind, because
That's fair.
It's kind of like one of those shows where I just don't know, guys.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's almost as if I never watched it. I just don't know.
Yeah, like you said, it's not your thing.
No, and I think it would be pretty. I don't know. I think again, it might be unfair to rate it because it was for me. It's hardly there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
So the rating's not important.
It is my own fault for thinking that I wouldn't have had to have rated a TV show. It's my own fault, guys. I should have came prepared.
That's all right. Like literally, when I get out of like a movie or a show, like a rating is almost like a visceral reaction, or just like a gut thing. It's like, it's probably like around here. But yeah, you don't have to rate it. It's no problem. Should we do the... We've got another show. Yeah, for the next show. We've got
and the next movie.
2 wheels to spin. First, next wheels. Show.
Boy, we spoiled.
And then for next week's marathon.
So we got another show first? Season 1.
Show first.
Yeah.
Okay,
season 1 that we're going to watch. And it'll be for episode 45. 10 weeks from now.
Yeah, so the show that's come up is actually one that I've wanted to watch for years. Is Chappelle's Show, which is on Netflix. It's like a sketch comedy show.
As in Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, it's Dave Chappelle's sketch comedy show.
Okay.
I've watched loads of clips from it and I found it really funny. Far funnier than the stand-up special we tried to watch and had to turn off because none of us enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That bodes well, doesn't it?
Great. Well, that's on Netflix then. Not sure how many episodes it is, but
how many episodes are in it?
Just looking it up now.
We can definitely watch it within 10 weeks.
Yeah, 12 episodes. I think they're about 20 minutes each.
Doable. Cool. Very doable.
No problem.
Yeah, like I said, it's on Netflix, so
yeah,
there we go.
Awesome. If you don't have Netflix by now, what are you doing?
And now the movie marathon.
Yeah, for next week.
It's so long.
It is. It's ridiculous. The first thing that's come up is the Bourne movies. Remember, we got 3 vetoes. We don't have to do it if we don't want to.
I know nothing of the Bourne movies. I can't lie. Are they the ones with Matt Damon?
Me neither.
Yeah.
Who put this on the list? First off,
I think it was me because I got them on DVD.
I mean, I don't mind. I know nothing about them. I've not seen them before. So we're
gonna have to watch them at some point, aren't we?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Be it now or in 3 years. So we
there's
can do that. Sure.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them, but we'll only watch the first 3.
Really?
Okay. Can't believe there's 5 of these.
I want to watch all 5.
I do not.
What do you mean? It's the franchise, the series. Okay.
There's like they're all about just around 2 hours each, so
Yeah.
I think they're all under 2 hours, but they're above an hour and a half, so they could be worse.
Okay. Yeah.
Bourne.
So yeah.
Bourne. We're going to see Matt Damon being Bourne. So brilliant. Can't wait for those. I think maybe it's brilliant. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all
cool.
3 of them are in the 1001 movies you must see before you die. Could be wrong, but
really?
I think at least one of them are.
It sounds wrong. I'm not gonna. I don't know enough about the subject to dispute that. But that's going to be the next episode. We are on social medias. We are at YouTube, the Sunday Movie Marathon. Please subscribe. Please. We have like 6 subscribers. If you like it. Twitter, at Sunday Movie Pod. Facebook, at Sunday Movie Marathon. And Letterboxd, at Sunday MM. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Sunday Movie Marathon, episode 35. We did it. It's another show in the bag. More to come.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, farewell. Until next time. On the Sunday Movie Marathon.
Goodbye. And farewell.
I'm a scatman.